Hello everyone, welcome back to the series. As you might remember, the series consists of 3 episodes. The first one was about sharpeners and the proper techniques of sharpening the blades, and it was broadcast last Friday. Thank you for warm reception. Today we're talking about tooth setters and some proper techniques of setting the teeth on your blades. The third episode is scheduled for the 28th of May and will be devoted to selection of right blades for your sawmilling purposes. My name is Marcin Kozłowski. I work as a PR specialist at the Wood-Mizer marketing team. I am very happy I can be here today hosting this show. I hope you will enjoy it. This presentation and other live streams from the past are easily available for you to watch at a later time. You can find them on our Facebook or YouTube channels at any other suitable moment. You're welcome to send us questions and comments, and we will try to answer to them at the end of this presentation in a special Q&A session. Make sure you visit our website to get complete information on our product range, useful technical tips, customer stories. Don't forget to visit our European e-store where you can shop easily and comfortably. I suggest also for you to check out our YouTube channel, which is full of information and different movies, instruction movies, presentation movies, customer spotlight movies. Last but not least, follow us on our Facebook official channel, and get an opportunity to interact with the material that we publish. You can find there some information on latest links, maybe to new publications. You can find there some information about discounts or promotions. Maybe you can find some interesting photos which will inspire you. We would love to see your opinions, comments, and reactions to the material that we publish. After a short technical break, I'll be back with you and we'll continue. When we were talking about sharpeners and the process of sharpening, I mentioned that every blade gets dull sooner or later, and what you have to do is you have to take care of the proper sharpening and tooth setting. Believe me or not, but setting the teeth on a blade is as important as sharpening. We recommend setting the teeth after sharpening, maybe not after each operation of sharpening, but every second or third operation of sharpening. It is recommended to set the teeth on the blade because with every sharpening and also in the process of sawmilling, the value of tooth set decreases, so it has to be restored from time to time, and that's why we use tooth setters. We set the teeth according to the pattern left, right, straight, remembering that the left tooth and the right tooth is for opening the material, and the third one, the so-called raker tooth, is for removing the sawdust from the timber. You need to adjust always the tooth set to the kind of wood that you're going to mill. And remember, the general rule is that for hardwood we use smaller tooth set, and for softwood we use wider. Now, the recommended tooth set values are different for every blade, kind of blade and profile, but we always add this information. This information is attached to the box of blades, so whenever you open up a fresh box of blades, you will find there a leaflet or maybe some other information, some other way of communicating to you what are the recommended, I'm saying recommended values of tooth setting. Now, what's going to happen if the tooth set is too small? Well, you will still be able to cut in a straight way, relatively fast, but the problem is that the blade will last for too short. Now, what's going to happen if the tooth set is too wide, it's too high? Well, then the blade may work in a wavy way, in a jerky way. You will get wavy cuts. Eventually, the blade may overheat and then even break. The quality of the material will not also be satisfactory. So no matter what kind of tooth setter you're going to use, remember always to prepare your blade correctly to the operation. So firstly, make sure it is clean. So it shouldn't be dirty with any resin, any sap, or maybe any other sticky fluids. And secondly, it has to be deburred. So if it has just been sharpened, then remember the deburr must be removed from the edges. So those tiny metal scraps, they have to be removed. And you do it either manually with a deburring tool, or some sharpeners have it as an automatic function. For example, the BMS 500 and 600 can remove the deburr by themselves automatically. Now, I would like to show you the first machine. It's the BMT, which is just next to me. The cameraman can take a look at that here. You can see. The BMT 100, it's manual single-sided tooth setter. It is designed as an economical, precise, and easy-to-use tool for low-volume operations. On this device, you can set the blades between 25 to 75 millimeters of width. It's operated manually. So you can see here there's a crank handle like this. This is for activation of the set screw. And with the other hand, you have to advance the blade in the clamps. It sets the teeth on one side of the blade at a time. And before starting the process of tooth setting on this device, you need to adjust precisely the height. So here you can see one screw. On the other side, you have the other screw. And with these screws, you have to adjust the height. It's very important, let me draw your attention here, if you see the gullet and then the top edge of the clamp, there is something like a gap. And this gap should be about 1.0 to 1.5 millimeter, always there. Then you have to adjust the set point, so the point on the tooth where the pressure will be applied. And we recommend to set it at something like 1/3 of the height of the tooth from the tip, from the top. And also remember about resetting the dial indicator. It's important also to adjust the stoppers. So the stoppers, they stop the blade here. And thanks to this, you will get a perfect position of the set screw for pushing, for bending the tooth. Remember also that we set every third tooth here. So after you've done with the first side, then you have to invert the blade to the other side and make sure you don't lose the right set pattern of the blade, because if you mix up the teeth, then it might be difficult to restore the correct tooth set pattern. The dial indicator works all the time in real time. It shows the values, how much the tooth is being bent. There are support arms here for holding the whole blade. And remember, it depends on the width of the blade. If you want to set the teeth on a wider blade, then you have to adjust also the support arms. This machine is relatively slow. But it is very, very precise because you do every tooth in a single way, let's say, so you can be very, very precise. However, to go through the whole blade, to prepare one blade, you would need about 7 to 10 minutes. It depends on how skilled the operator is. So just to sum up the main benefits, this machine is simple and easy to use. It's very little maintenance required for that. It's an affordable solution and high precision of setting one tooth at a time. Now let me ask my colleague from the technical team. He can give us a little demonstration. We can see how this machine works, how it is operated. So let's take a look. So we can see, now we have to adjust it. Oh, and we apply pressure by means of this, by turning the crank handle. Every third tooth is being bent, observing on the gauge the right value. Use the stoppers for blocking in the right position, and carefully have to overbend it a little and then see what the value is, if it is the right value. Oh. And with the other hand, you just advance the blade in the clamp. Another machine I would like to show you today is the BMT 150. Here it is. It's a manual but dual-sided tooth setter. It's designed as an economical, precise, easy-to-use machine, much more efficient than the previous one because it is dual-sided. So thanks to it, you can set two teeth at one time, left and right. So there's no need for you to invert the blade, right? With this device, you can prepare the blades between 25 to 75 millimeters of width and the tooth spacing of 6 to 32 millimeters. It takes about 3 to 4 minutes to prepare one blade. As I said, it doesn't require any inverting of the blade, so it's comfortable this way. And it is operated manually. You can see here we've got something like a ratchet lever. My colleague will demonstrate it. But with this movement, with a very simple movement, hand movement, you do two things because you advance the blade here this way with the pusher, by means of a pusher, of course, yes. And also you can see there are two set screws or set bolts which set two teeth at a time. In one cycle, two teeth. For adjusting, now let's take a look how the height of the blade is adjusted. Here it is, you can see. We've got bolts on one side, on the other side too. And for different widths of the blade, you have different pins, metal pins. So you can adjust it this way. And then for fine adjustment, you've got this knob here. So give it even more precision. For ensuring the highest precision of the set values, this machine comes with a special tool. Take a look over here, please. It's a set master gauge. With it, you can read exactly the set values. You can calibrate it, and it comes as a standard equipment. It is added to this machine. So this tooth setter doesn't have any inbuilt indicator like that, like it was with the BMT 100. There isn't anything like that inbuilt, but it comes separately for better control. So the main benefits, let me say again, it's easy to use, fast, simple, offering high precision, high consistency of tooth setting. It sets two teeth at the same time, not much maintenance required, and still it is an affordable solution. Now let's take a look how this machine works. So our colleague from the technical team will give us a little demonstration how this machine works. Okay, so let's take a look. So after adjusting everything, you see, with this simple hand movement, you forward the blade and the two screws, set screws, apply pressure on the teeth. So this is how it works. Another interesting machine, or maybe let's say a group of machines, it's over here, you can take a look. It's the dual-sided tooth setter. It's the BMT 200 and 250. So over there, you can see through the other camera the BMT 200. It's a it's a simpler version. It is manual. It is manually operated with something like a crank handle. You can see you turn it counterclockwise, like the arrow is showing. And this way you activate the advanced mechanism, so the pusher, and also you activate two set bolts for setting two teeth at one time. And now let's take a look at the other machine, the BMT 250, which is here next to me. And you will see quickly that this machine is like a mirror copy of the other, of the BMT 200. However, it is a little upgraded. So let's take maybe yes. Mr. Cameraman can come closer, and you see there are some upgrades. So first of all, it is equipped with an electric motor over here and a gearbox. The motor is this is one phase 0.18 kilowatt electric motor. And here below we have a control box, electric box. So what's interesting, if you purchase the BMT 200, then after some time you can easily upgrade it to a higher version. If you add an extension kit, you can easily do that. You don't have to have it done by the customer service. You can do it yourself in your garage. What's interesting to notice is that the BMT 250 very often is combined with a sharpener BMS 250. So in this tooth setter, in one cycle, at one go, you set two teeth, left and right, and we can take a look over here. So the camera can show us maybe the, you see, the bolts for setting, the anvil, and also each, so there are two dial indicators, two dial gauges. One is for the right and one for the left tooth. So on this machine, preparation of one blade takes about 2 to 3 minutes. Yes, also this machine in standard is equipped with a set master gauge, you can see. So apart from these two indicators mounted in, you've got this one, a separate one, and we recommend that you take a look from time to time using this one, a separate one, and you can verify maybe if there aren't any errors. So just to be sure. Now we can take a look at the control box, the electric box over here. There's a counter, a teeth counter. So before starting the operation, you can set the number of teeth on your blade. You activate the whole process. Here, you can run this machine in manual, so maybe test mode, good for adjustments, and then for a real mode, let's say a ready mode, the indicator of voltage in the box and the emergency stop. But after reaching a certain number of teeth, the requested number of teeth, the process of setting the teeth will be disactivated. On this machine you can set the blades, you can prepare the blades between 25 and 75 millimeters of width, and the tooth spacing of 13 to 32 millimeters. So again, to sum up, this machine is simple, easy to use. It offers precision, consistency. It sets two teeth at one time. It is equipped with two dial gauges, and it's easy to upgrade it from the lower version to the higher version. So let's take a look at a little demo. Our colleague from the technical team will show us how this machine works, right? Let's take a look. So we set the number, no, now we need to, okay, everything was set, but there's a number of teeth entered, and you see how this machine works. Pretty fast. You can check the set values in the real time. Yes, and I have one more machine to show you today. It's the BMT 300. It's a top model in our offering. It works best with the sharpener, professional sharpener BMS 500 or 600. It's for professional purposes. It is for big volume operations. So mostly it will be appreciated by those sawmillers and woodworkers that need to constantly, throughout the whole day, prepare blades for sawmilling. So let's take a closer look at this machine. It is pneumatic, single-sided, very precise, very fast. It's semi-automatic. I'm saying semi-automatic because, okay, many things are done automatically on it. However, the operator still is requested to be here to look at the process. So the tooth setter works in a few operation modes. It has many diagnostic functions. It can inspect the separate components. It can run self-tests on the components, and also it can inspect the correct tooth set of the blade. Also, an interesting function, it is able to fix those teeth that were all set. So it can bend back, which were, let's say, damaged. Two sources of energy. So we have electric motors two actually motors. One is here, we can check it out here. Yes, it's for activating this mechanism here, and one here, it's for powering the curve with the pusher, so the advance mechanism. And the other source of energy, it's the compressed air, which must be here minimum 4 bars. And we can take a look on the other side. There you will be able to see, the compressed air must be supplied to this machine. This tooth setter is single-sided, so after doing one side, after preparing one side of the blade, you need to remember to invert it to the other side to run it on the other side as well. But thanks to this, we get very, very high precision of work. So if you set some limits, upper and lower limits for tooth set, this machine will keep those values. It works relatively fast. I'm saying relatively fast because on condition that you put on here a blade that doesn't have any teeth, hurt maybe by some nails or maybe some stones or the dirt, anything like that, then the time needed for preparation of the whole blade is about 3 minutes, which is very good result. The control panel, maybe we can check out. Take a look, please, the control panel. Here with an LCD screen, some buttons for entering different values. So from here you can enter the number of teeth, number of cycles, or maybe you can choose the language even. You can enter unit of measurement, type of clamp used, maximum number and errors. From here you can also browse the diagnostic menu, and the machine can check its function, so you can verify if the pusher works correctly, or maybe clamp or curve, or maybe set bolt sensors. You can run also calibration mode and tooth set inspection mode. So the main benefits, once again, fast, precise, semi-automatic inspection modes. It's designed for professional purposes. Now let's have our friend from customer service team to give us a little demonstration how this machine works. Okay? Yes, and you can see how fast it can work. We set up everything before to spare some time, but believe me, it is very fast and very precise. Okay, after watching two presentations on blade maintenance, the one about sharpeners, the other one about tooth setters, now we can make a quick summary of the most significant points to remember, those points that are most critical in the process of blade maintenance. So the general rule, remember, is always first to prepare the blade and the machine, and next you can run the process. So either sharpening or setting the teeth. So remember, sharpen and set the teeth always of those blades that have been cleaned from resin, from dirt, from organic, non-organic sticky substances. And also make sure that those blades are deburred, so without any metal scraps on the edges of the teeth. Clean regularly the clamps in the sharpener and also in the tooth setter, because it will translate to correct precision and efficiency of work. Also check the condition of bolts, screws that set the tooth. Also the pusher that advances the whole blade, because there are metal parts and they may wear out over time, so this precision might be lost. Remember about that. Check the movable parts as well. Apply some grease, some lubricant on these to make them work smoothly. Replace them if their condition is not satisfactory. Check also regularly the condition of the brushes on the DC electric motors. Replace them if necessary, keep them clean. Remember that worn out brushes will slow down the work of an electric motor, so also may affect consumption, higher consumption of energy. Remember that if you need to sharpen a blade 2 or 3 times in 2 or 3 cycles, you have to go through the adjustment procedure each time. So setting the depth of grinding, for example, and also setting the pusher, that's important. Always use CBN wheels with the right profile, the profile that will match the profile of your blade. Don't do anything like you've got only one CBN wheel with one profile, and then you try to use it on multiple blades, and then maybe you try to adjust the angle of the grinding head. We don't recommend it. In fact, we say it is forbidden. Check the color and consistency of the grinding oil which you use. Make sure it is this technical specification, so ACP1, ACP2. Observe the color and consistency of it. The CBN wheel also, they have to be maintained properly, so cleans the very delicate abrasive structure on the wheel with brush and solvent, or maybe extraction gasoline. Also clean the oil application nozzles, the tubes that supply oil onto the wheel. It would be also very good if you could, from time to time, clean up the magnets that collect all metal filings. So do that too. And maybe something obvious, but always make sure you keep your machines, so sharpeners and tooth setters, in a clean and dry environment. And always after finishing your work, make sure you remove all the dirt or maybe sawdust or maybe wood chips from these machines. And also remember about safety at work. So use gloves whenever you want to handle some sharp elements like blades. No matter if this is before sharpening or after sharpening, always use gloves because there are sharp edges. Use safety glasses whenever you operate a machine that has got some fast rotating elements or maybe sharp elements, so that's for your protection. And read manuals, because the instructions that are there provided by the manufacturers, they are supposed to help you. Now, I'm sure that if you take these tips seriously, if you follow them systematically, you will enjoy operating Wood-Mizer sharpeners and tooth setters for a long time without any problems, without any breakdowns and disappointments. Now, let me take a look at my laptop. I'll see if there are any questions. Okay? Okay. Okay. So I can see there are a few questions that you have come up with. I'll try to answer to them as good as I can. But remember, if you have any other questions, if something maybe you've got for me, for us, that will come up to your mind maybe after this presentation in a later time, you can always get in touch with our experts from the sales department, customer service team, or maybe even marketing, and we will try to assist you also like that. So you can send an email, you can write maybe some question on our Facebook channel, or maybe you can give us a call. So let's see what we have. The first question: which model is recommended for setting the teeth on wide 50 mm more? So if you've watched attentively our presentation, you will know that all of them actually are good for setting the teeth on such blades. Remember always to adjust the height of the blade in a clamp, and for that I told you use those metal pins that set the height, or the knob which is for fine adjustments, for super precise adjustments of the height. So yes, you can use a variety of our models, wider blades as well. Another question. In which place on the tooth should be positioned the bolt to get the best results of setting? Well, you remember I showed you, it was with the BMT 100, we had this little remark, and I told you that the best spot on the tooth is always 1/3 of the height of the tooth, but looking from the tip, from the top. So this is the best spot where this pressure can be applied. And secondly, also remember about positioning in the right way the blade in the clamp, so that the lowest point of the gullet is only 1.0, maybe 1.5 millimeters below the top edge of the clamp. If you disrespect these recommendations, then the tooth might be simply damaged, or it will be set incorrectly. Okay. Okay, let's see. Next question, what we have next. Yes, what value is meant for hardwood and for softwood? It's good that you ask about recommended values. Of course, we only recommend, because the point is that the best practice is simply to work out your own way. So you have to do a little experimentation, and you can see yourself which values work for you best. However, yes, we recommend some values, and as I said, in every box of blades that you get from us, there's information attached, and you can check, you can use those values as a, let's say, platform, as a point of reference, and then you can test yourself and check out yourself. You can work out your own set values after some time. But okay, let's say for softwood, let it be 32 millimeter wide blade. So we say 23 units on the scale on those dial gauges, which means about 0.55 millimeters. That's for softwood, and for hardwood that would be 19. But remember, these are only recommended values. You have to find your own way. Next question is, Do I have to set the teeth after each sharpening? I said about that something at the beginning, but well, it depends on the material. It depends on the material. Let's say if you cut the same kind all the time, so let it be maybe Kent's, the wood is clean, it's pine, it is not very wide, it's about 40 centimeters, then let's say every second, every third sharpening is all right to set the teeth. But if you cut dirty material, let's say with some stones or maybe some sand in the debark, then yes, you need to set the teeth after each sharpening. Yes. Let's have some more. It's about BMT 300. Will BMT 300 be available in double side option? No, it's only one side. It's a single-sided machine. It's single-sided for high precision, for high accuracy of work, and we do not consider developing it to a dual-sided version, so that's the way it is. Okay, we also have one question concerning LX25. Good morning. You guys got our LX25 all done? Well, please contact your local dealer to get more information. I'm sure you will be able to learn more this way. All right? One more question. How much time does it take to reset the machine to a different blade? Well, it all depends on how skilled the operator is, but we can say a few minutes. You have to take into account a few minutes of time. But you know, practice makes perfect. Maybe you can beat the record, so try it. Okay, do we have any other? No, I can't see any other questions. However, I would like to remind you about our ebook, the latest publication that we prepared for you guys, how to improve your blade performance. It is available for free download on the official Wood-Mizer websites. There you can find something like a repository of all this knowledge. There are over 10 different chapters, and this is again the best practices of sharpening, using the blades, setting the teeth on the blades. There is something about those machines, some practical tips, very useful portion of material, of information. And I insist that you download it after watching these presentations. It would be really a good job if you downloaded it and you read it on your own. So I strongly recommend it to you. Thank you very much for watching this presentation on tooth setters and the previous one on the sharpeners. It's been a pleasure for me to be a host for both of these live streams. I hope you have learned much useful information. If you're hungry for more knowledge on the blades, then on the 28th of May you will be able to continue. My friends, my colleagues will pick up and they will tell you more on how to choose the right blade for your sawmilling purposes. From my side, that's it, I think. Take care of yourselves and good luck in your projects. Bye.